Welcome as we go beyond the final frontier. Well, actually, it's a little bit closer to our planet this time. Now, lightning strikes light up our sky, we know this, but above them, a phenomenon occurs in the form of sprites. These are large-scale and bright red discharges that happen all over the world, but have only been observed sporadically, I'm told, since the late 1980s. It's one of my questions. Science engagement astronomer from the observatory, one of our favorites, Dr. Daniel Kahneman, connects with us now to tell us a little bit more. This excites me, Dr. Dan. Where do we begin? Okay, so maybe a good place to start is, what is a sprite, or what are sprites exactly?
Yeah, so basically, you know about lightning. So lightning, I'll take my pillow out. If you have a cloud, and it has sort of some charge sitting in the cloud, and you have the opposite charge on Earth, so the charge builds up in a cloud, and that causes lightning. So that charge discharges instantly. You see the lightning, it's a very bright electric charge that sort of dissipates. But when that happens, the Earth gains a positive charge very quickly. The cloud then gains a negative charge very quickly. But what that means is it causes another imbalance above the cloud. So with the gas existing above the clouds in the upper atmosphere, now you've got a different imbalance. And that needs to, even out.
Yeah.
So then you get this sprite. So it's not lightning that's going up this time. It's these highly charged particles, this gas, which shoots up very, very quickly, sometimes about 10% of the speed of light. And that causes this sort of glow. Yeah, so it's very, very cool. Lightning strikes are cool in themselves, but this thing is going on above the clouds, so between sort of 20 and 80 kilometers above the Earth, whereas lightning always happens in the bottom 20 kilometers of the atmosphere.
As that charge earths itself, literally.
Yeah.
Why are they so hard to observe, and why have we only been observing them sporadically since the 1980s?
So the first reason is obviously that when you're seeing a thunderstorm, you're generally in it, and there's a layer of clouds above you. So you see the lightning. These things are happening above the clouds, and you can't see through the clouds. So in order to see a sprite, essentially what you need is a very, very long horizon, and a thunderstorm happening near the horizon in the very, very distance. So you can see both above the clouds and below the clouds at the same time. Then you can start seeing the things above. They're also very, very quick. In the same way as lightning, they're even quicker than lightning. They don't last very long, like tenths of a second. And they're not as bright as lightning either. So they're this reddish glow, which is fairly obvious if you see it. I've never seen one, but it is fairly obvious if you see it. But obviously it takes very, very specific conditions before you can observe such a thing.
And so obviously sprites come in many different kind of shapes and forms, if you will. What are those different forms, and what notably makes them bright red in color? Why the red hue?
So, yeah, they come in different shapes and forms in the same way as lightning. This isn't electric charge going down, so this is gas. So it does happen in different sort of ways. Sometimes you get a jet. Sometimes you get like all these tendrils which go up. And sometimes you get like a plume, almost like a mushroom
cloud,
that rises up. The red is actually due to the consistency of the atmosphere, or what the atmosphere is made up of. So most of the lower atmosphere, the last 100 kilometers, or the 100 kilometers above Earth, is nitrogen. When the nitrogen is fairly dense in the lowest 20 kilometers, when it's excited, it comes out blue. The light is blue. That's why lightning is white or blue. When it's less dense, so between 20 kilometers and 80 or 100 kilometers above the Earth, it glows red. So it's this nitrogen gas which is getting excited, and then when it loses that energy again, it glows red. Higher up, actually, it's quite interesting. There's more oxygen than there is nitrogen, and when you see the aurora, they're generally green. and that's because oxygen glows green when it's excited.
Just who would have thought that gases were so excited? But it makes me excited as well. Moreover, by the fact that SANZA have become the first to measure the height of Sprites over southern Africa. Tell us a bit more about that, and why was this such a big deal?
Yeah, so the South African National Space Agency, SANZA, they observe a lot of atmospheric phenomenon. And they actually observed Sprites above South Africa for the first time a few years ago, 2016, I think. And now they've managed to, by continuing to observe these things and to observe them from different angles, they can work out how high they are. So it's the first time it's been done in South Africa. In terms of observing Sprites at all, there haven't been many observations. And doing such a thing in South Africa is completely novel. And it's quite interesting. It tells you a little bit about the thunderstorm. It tells you about the upper atmosphere. And you can kind of learn about the atmosphere in South Africa, what's happening during a thunderstorm, and whether it's different to anywhere else in the world.
I love it, man. Space Agency is excited. We're excited. Gases are excited. This is a really cool time to be alive. Doc, thank you so much. Thanks for taking us through that. Really cool for once to focus a bit closer to home, not just on our stars. But we love you. We appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me. Always great.
Really nice to, as I said, shift our gaze from the stars to our own atmosphere and all the wonders that are happening there. The fact that we are still making discoveries right now, beautiful. Much learnt and so much gained.